students, today we are going to be looking at Unit 5, Day 3, multiple representations. Okay, so we're going to be able to use tables, graphs, equations, and verbal descriptions to represent a linear representation. And on linear, we're meaning a couple of things. Either it's going to be y equals m times x plus b, or we might have a proportional situation. Right now, we're just going to say m times x, okay? We'll talk about that a little differently here in a day or so. Okay, so you can tell, let's see, it tells us that we have an appliance repair charges a certain amount of for house calls based on the amount of time it takes for the repair. Use the graph shown below to fill out the missing representations, then answer the questions that follow. Okay, well, what we have to look at is we've got our graph. And we see that it's Andy's repair shop, and we can see that the Y total cost depends on the X values, the number of hours. Okay, so we always want to label, this is going to be our X, and there's going to be our Y. First thing to begin with is our y-intercept, guys. Okay, so we've got our finger here at the y-axis. We go up to the first point, and that tells us that if x is 0, then our y is 20. X marks the spot, find 0. Okay, from that point, we're going to look here, and what I've kind of discovered with you guys is that when we have our intervals on our x-axis, y-axis is different than our x. We had a hard time with that on our test. So what we're going to do is we're just going to find 2 good points, and you see me put x and y for a purpose, because when we're looking at our coordinates, x comes first. This point, 20, okay, 0 did not go right or did not go left on the x-axis. So there's our 0, and then the y value went up. That's our first point. And let's go up to another really good point. Okay, so we're going to say our x value was 2, and then our y value is going to be 80. Okay, x comes first, then y when we're finding points. Let's go ahead and use our y2, take away y1 over x2, take away x1. Okay, and so let's just go ahead and start. Here's our y values. Okay, so we've got 80, take away 20, over 2, take away 0. Okay, and that's going to give us 60 over 2, which is going to give us, if we divided both top and bottom by 2, that would give us 30 over 1. 30 represents cost, total cost, and then the x down here at the bottom represents hours. Okay, so that was our slope is let's see, $30 for 1 additional hour, and you can tell that our y-intercept means we started with a charge of $20. Okay, so I can write the verbal description of something like Andy's charges a fee, it's usually a one-time thing, of $20 plus $30 per hour. We can get a little fancier with that if we wanted to. Okay, so we can also see that when we have our slope-intercept form, y, that's our total cost, equals our slope, I don't know how I got that read, times however many hours, plus or minus our beginning. Okay, so we've got y, our total cost, equals our slope that we just figured. 30 over 1 gives us 30 times however many hours plus our beginning. Okay, and I know a lot of you guys have a hard time sometimes thinking, okay, well, how do we write it? Well, we're going to think either slope-intercept form, something to that effect. And even when we had equations with the variable on both sides, that was the form that we had. We had a slope times some x value plus or minus um, a constant. We called it a constant, but it was also the y-intercept. Okay, so this is not unfamiliar. Okay, so here's our process. I'm going to kind of start with what we started with, 20 plus 30 times, and we're going to insert 0. And that's a true statement. So 20 plus 30 times what, guys? 1. So that's 30 plus 20 is going to give us 50. We can already see now, since we're counting by ones, a pattern. 20 plus 30 times 2. 30 times 2 is 60. And then plus 2 more, or 20 more, is going to give us 80. We're increasing by how much? Since we're only counting by ones, it's pretty easy for us to increase this by 30. So 80 plus 30 is 110, plus 30 is 140, plus 30 is 170, plus 30 is 200. So let's see if that's true. 20 plus 30 times 6, that's 180 plus 20, does give us 200. 90 plus 20, that's true. 120 plus 20, that's true. Okay, and 150 plus 20, that's a true statement. Okay, so what is the slope of the graph? I'm going to let you guys finish the rest of this, okay? This is a paper that we need to turn in today, okay, so let's think hard. Thank you. Bye.